right, welcome back, fellow escapees. Welcome back to my channel where I help burnt out corporate employees ditch their boring 9-to-5 and create a life of financial freedom. So in today's video, I want to talk about the surging prices at restaurants. Like, it has gotten out of control. It is so out of control that you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. I mean, you might believe what I'm about to tell you, depending on where you live in the world, in the US. But I can't believe I spent this much at a restaurant for this type of meal. But so I was reading some headlines about how restaurants are suffering and how there's been restaurants that's been around since the Great Depression, 117 years. It was a restaurant, let me see if I can get the name of it. Ike Chili in Tulsa, Oklahoma, has been around 117 years, and they are having trouble right now surviving this new economy. Like, think about this. You were able to build your restaurant during the Great Depression. Your grandparents or the original owners were able to keep it going. You survived, you know, different economical climates in our world over 117 years, the Great Depression being the biggest one. All the economic, you know, the tech boom, the housing market crash, all those 2002, 2004 recessions, 2008 recessions, 1980 recession, I even remember that. I mean, I was a kid, but I'm not that old, but I'm just saying. I remember hearing about that, reading about that in business school, and, you know, the things my parents went through at the time. So, so if think about restaurants that were able to survive that, and then today they are shutting their doors. Places are shutting their doors that cannot even survive this new economy because it is so bad. Inflation is so bad. Cost of labor is so high for some of these restaurants. And I do believe that employees need to be paid very well. A lot of times employees, if they're wait staff, they're in bussers, they're paid about $2.15, $3 to $4 an hour, and then they make their money on tips. So I know, hold on, I'm getting a notification. I want to get that out of the way. I know that a lot of people have been fighting to get these wages up in the restaurant business because people were making such low wage. Like, I know McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Raising Cane's, Burger King, McDonald's, places like that, they were paying their employees. I would just use my town because I don't know all over the US, but I know in my town it would be like $6-7 an hour, and then it went to $10-12 an hour, then it went to $15-17 an hour. So with these fast food workers, of course, with that labor cost, the restaurants started charging a little bit more for their food. There's no longer a dollar menu at McDonald's. McDonald's, I think, I don't eat at McDonald's, but I was told it, you know, the dollar menu is now $5 or $8. I don't know. Like I said, depends on where you are in the country, because I don't eat at McDonald's. But I know a lot of people, you know, like their dollar menu and could afford their dollar menu, and that was keeping a lot of families fed because they could afford to feed themselves and their family off the dollar menu. Now, here's what happened to me. I go up to New York, I go to the Bronx, and I walk inside of a, so if you're from New York or the Bronx, you know there's Kennedy's fried chicken, I believe, and there you can get a 3-piece with fries in a soda can. I think about $8 to $10, something around that price. So you can get 3 pieces, fries, and a soda can, a soda pop. $8 to $10, something like that, okay? So I decided I don't really like eating out of some of these places in this city because the restaurants don't look that clean to me. They look a little rundown and dirty because I'm from the South. A lot of our restaurants are very nice and clean and brand new. So my sister goes, well, there's a Popeye's chicken right here on the corner. It is super clean. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to eat out of a Popeye's chicken in this city because of the way it looks, or this area. Because this area looks rough to me. And so we walked in, the Popeye's chicken was immaculate. It really was clean. It was like the cleanest. It looked almost newer than all the other restaurants in the area. So I was like, okay, it looks clean. I could see behind the counter. You know, when you go up to the counter and order, you can see behind the counter. I was like, okay, I can see behind the counter. The kitchen looks really, really clean. So when me and her went that week and got our chicken, it was 3 pieces for $5. I think it was was it 3 dark pieces for $5? Okay. So I went in about a week later and I was like, okay, I don't see the sign for the 3 pieces for $5. He said, we don't have that anymore. I said, okay, you know what? Give me 6-piece wings with fries, the biscuit, and a drink. That was $16.99. So I already wasn't used to paying that because I come from the South where I only pay about $8 for that. So I was like, but you know what? I'm hungry. It's a clean restaurant. I'll go ahead and pay the money. And I understand I'm in a different city. It's more expensive for their labor costs here. It's more expensive for their real estate here to lease the building. So I'm gonna pay it. So he gives me my order, and then he gives me the nuggets. Remember, because this is a foreigner I'm dealing, you know, somebody who, you know, English was not their first language. So, you know, maybe a little misunderstanding there. And so he gives me the nuggets, and then I'm like, I didn't order nuggets. I said chicken wings. I was like, you know, wings. Like, I'm just like, you know, wings, right there, wings. And he said, oh, we call these wings or whatever. And I'm like, no, these not. These have never been wings. These are called nuggets. They've been nuggets in our country forever. Chicken nuggets. Everybody knows what chicken nuggets are. Chicken tenders. They were like tenders at Popeyes, I guess. They're not nuggets. I'm like, yeah, wings with the wing on them, you know. So he said, oh, those are going to be $21.99 for the 6 wings. And I'm like, what the heck? I was like, you know, I don't care. I'm starving. Just give me the wings. So when he gave me the wings, and he, you know, the guy had to make them, whatever, or get them, they gave me the wings, fries, wait a minute, coleslaw. I forgot about the coleslaw, and a drink. He said, so it came up to $24. So I was so hungry, I just paid it, but I was angry. My sister said, you should have just walked out once the price went up, and plus they got your order wrong. But what happened was he was very polite, and he was very polite the other times we went there to get when he had the special. It was a very, very, you know, good customer service. And sometimes when you go to some of these fast food restaurants, you don't get good customer. You guys know how the customer service be at some of these restaurants, these fast food joints. So it was great customer service the last couple of times I went, plus this time he was very polite. He let me keep the original nugget order or tender order with the fries, and I didn't even ask him. I was just going to hand it back to him. He let me keep it, and then he gave me the other order. So I got 2 orders for that price. And so I'm just, but my point of the story is I just never paid $24 in my life for 2 sides, a drink, and 6-piece wings. I didn't even know that existed in this world, right? So it just goes to show you how much these restaurants are charging people, how much they're going up. And then when I'm going to some of my favorite restaurants, I realize they are now empty. Like, a lot of them are not packed to capacity like there used to be. There's no wait anymore. I'm just walking in. Like right now, I'm sitting at one of my favorite spots. You could just walk in. There's plenty of seats. You can sit wherever you like. I remember going to some of my favorite, like, more upscale restaurants, and then it's like the hostess was like, oh, well, we're sitting over on this side of the restaurant because I guess they're trying to balance out the tables and what server gets the next table. So sometimes I'll be like, can I sit over there? And I'm like, oh, that side is not open yet, or this area was the next area we needed to seat in. Do you mind sitting here? I've had I had hostess say that to me. Now I go in this whole year, it's just like, sit wherever you like, pick out your own table. It's been stuff like that. So a lot of restaurants are suffering right now. They said beef cost is up 21%. I've heard 21, 30%. So with the new tariffs and everything, and just cost of, you know, the farmers are going through what they're going through right now. I just heard even for 20 to 30%, beef has been up. We know eggs have been through the roof. I'm gonna post a video shortly here talking about grocery prices. And in New York, I was finding eggs for $17 for a dozen of eggs. I was like, I would just not eat eggs. I mean, it's not that serious. And then I went to a Thai restaurant out there, I found a great Thai restaurant to eat in. And then I ate there a few times. I ate there a total of, I think, 4 times while I was there. But 2 times I kept saying I wanted scrambled eggs. But the lady, again, English wasn't her first language. I just thought it was a misunderstanding. On the menu, it says it comes with, you know, egg. Like if you get a Thai, what is that called? Pad Thai noodles. If you ever get Pad Thai, it has a scrambled eggs in there with all the other stuff it comes with. So this particular dish, I really enjoyed it. I went back several times to get it because it was called House of Thai in Queens, New York. If you ever been there, or, you know, go there. But she kept saying, well, it is eggs. So by my last day going there, I was like, hey, you know, the last time I came here, you didn't put eggs in it. She goes, we do put eggs in it. It's mixed in there with it. So she even brings the dish, and I'm like moving through the pasta. I'm like, where's the egg? She said it's blended in there. It was like, you didn't even see the egg. And I'm like, I'm not gonna argue with her. The dish is fine whether it has an egg or not. I love this dish. But I've never seen a dish that said it had eggs in it. Like literally as one of the ingredients. Like I could see the broccoli, I could see the pasta, I could see the noodles, I could see the bamboo, whatever they put in it. I could see the tofu, onions or whatever. I can't see the egg. But she's saying it's chopped finely and mixed into it, and that's the egg they're talking about. I have never eaten at a restaurant, like I said, where if it says it on the menu, it's not actually something I can visually see. Now, you know how they say at restaurants, you know, like it comes with a spicy peanut sauce. Yeah, you don't see the peanuts in the sauce because the sauce is grinded up or mixed up. But that's different. They may say, oh, it's a shellfish sauce. Yeah, you don't see shrimp and lobster usually in the sauce. But I've never had a dish where I didn't see the egg if it said it had an egg in it. And especially at an Asian restaurant. If you go to an Asian restaurant and you're eating, what's that other dish called? Oh my God, the bowl with the soup. The bowl with the pho. The pho usually has a sliced boiled egg in it, you know? So I've never eaten anywhere where, like I said, it says it has an egg, it never had egg. I'm like, you know, our price is so high in this city for the eggs, or in this country, that you don't even see the egg in your meal anymore. I can imagine going to Denny's, be like, let me get the I forgot what that breakfast special is called. Y'all know what I'm talking about, that famous Denny breakfast with the 2 scrambled eggs or in the pancakes and the toast and the sausage, and they bring it in. And I'm like, where's the egg? Well, you know, it's mixed in, you know, it's there, you just can't see the egg, you know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just crazy how high these prices have got. So that's one thing. The food cost has gotten so high. When we were growing up, we did not go to restaurants very often. We were a big, large family of 10 plus. And I know growing up in our community, we just, you know, you might go to the fast food joint down the street. They had the fish fry spot. They had the chicken spot. And when I was growing up, they had, you know, Red Lobster was like the special occasion family outing. But we didn't go out as much as today. I mean, I eat out all the time. It's one of the things I cut back on. That's what I was making this video about, because I'm one of the people who just said this is too expensive. But what I'm saying is, eating out was not a part of the American people's normal diet or normal routine. Most people had cooked at home, or their mothers, grandmothers, aunts, sisters, whatever, brothers, dad, cooked at home. The restaurant business has been so booming and so thriving that there's like almost, you know, 5 or 10 restaurants on almost every corner in most of the major cities. But because of what's going on with the economy, so in the food prices and the grocery prices, people have cut back significantly on going out. They say coffee is up also around 30-40%. So that's causing a lot of the coffee shops to have to increase their prices. And I would say that we are already complaining how expensive Starbucks coffee has been over the years. Starbucks was, as far as I know, one of the first coffee shops to start having like $4, $5, $7, $8 coffee drinks. That was unheard of. People paid 25 cents to $1 for coffee growing up. And you can still find that kind of, you know, under $2 coffee at McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts in certain places. But we were never used to spending $5 to $8, $9, $10 on coffee drinks and mixed coffee drinks. Starbucks invented that trend, as far as I'm aware of. So even Starbucks and places have to increase their prices, and people are like, well, I couldn't even afford it, Starbucks to begin with, at the price it was before the tariffs, before the inflation happened. So a lot of coffee shops are seeing people cut back on coming into the coffee shops, but a lot of people are starting to complain. They go into the grocery store, they're now seeing their homemade, the coffee that they can make at home, used to be like, let's just say $5 or $10 for the big container. It is now $16 to $20 for those containers. And people are just not used to paying that type of price. Now, what is causing a lot of the restaurants to have to shut down? Because think about this, during COVID, restaurants shut down for up to 6 months to a year, some of them. And some of them had a struggle. Some of them shut down permanently and were never able to recover. Then the ones that did survive COVID and were able to get maybe some short-term business loans or some PPP loans or whatever, that was only like about 4 or 5 years ago. So they're like still trying to recover out of that kind of like little mini recession for them. Then within 4 or 5 years, we have inflation and tariffs. And now supplies for food has gone up so much that the restaurants are like, I can't afford the food. In fact, the food is so expensive. When I was in Manhattan, a lot of restaurants were serving like little bitty portions, like $40, $50 a portion, $20 martinis, $25 cocktail drinks. Like $25 for one drink. So 2 drinks is $50. And that wasn't even all the top shelf stuff. So normally my friends, when I would go out, a drink could be like $7 to $12, right? Now it's $20 to $25, $18 a drink. So within 3 drinks, you're at $75. So people can't afford this. The average person is like, I'll just drink at home, or at this point, I don't even need to drink. Why am I drinking again? You know, I need to save, I need to clean my liver out anyway. I don't need this alcohol. So alcohol going out has just become so expensive. The clubs are not even full anymore. There's no lines. And I'm not saying some major cities like Miami. I don't know all the club hotspots, y'all. But New York, Miami, and certain of those hotspot areas, touristy areas. I'm not saying their clubs are still not jumping. But a lot of clubs are struggling. They're shutting down their doors because nobody's going in there anymore to party. Because nobody can afford to party. Nobody can afford the cover charges at the door, the parking, then the $20 to $50 drinks. Like, you know, and I know there's a segment of the population that's still doing good. They still have jobs, that are still rich. I'm not talking about that sector of the population. I'm talking about the majority of Americans, because that sector of the population only makes up probably like maybe 10% of the population, 20% of the population that has that kind of disposable income. But I would say about 60 to 80% of the population is going through something right now, some type of hardship, or their family is going through some type of hardship where they have to support a family member who is out of work right now. Now, let's talk about labor costs. So labor costs has also been a major issue, like I said at the beginning of the video, for a lot of restaurants, because they cannot keep up with paying, a restaurant usually needs security guard at nighttime, kitchen staff, host staff, cashier staff, cook staff, bussers, general manager, assistant manager. They got to pay. If you have a restaurant that sells liquor, you have a liquor license and stuff. You have taxes to the city. You have water, electricity, food. It's just so much. When I used to work in the restaurant business during my college days, a lot of costs was also people would break the the glassware or the plateware, and that would be a very high cost for a lot of restaurants. But a lot of restaurants cannot afford the labor costs that are cutting staff. So you go into some of these places and they're like, there's not a lot of staff in there anymore. And they're not hiring. There's very few restaurants, at least where I am right now, there's very few restaurants hiring. And I don't know if you guys remember, but restaurants were one of the most sought after jobs for high school and college students, or people who wanted a second income. You go pick up some shifts waiting tables or bartending, and restaurants are, they're cutting staff. They're not even hiring. Like, I can barely find like a good, 50 out of I think it's about 4 million, 5 million people in the city. I barely find like, let's just say 100 restaurants hiring at any given time. And that's really low for the amount of people that are in this city and need work. And then you got all the high school kids that need work, college students that need work, people laid off from jobs need work, and there's no restaurants hiring. I was looking up, just because this channel is about careers, and it's about retirement, it's about financial independence and things like that, and layoffs and the job market, investing, things like that. So I was looking at ICE was hiring, and I was like looking into ICE. I was like looking into what, how many agents do ICE need, and then how many jobs are available? Because I've never looked into like Homeland Security jobs. So I looked into it, and it said ICE received 150,000 applications, and they filled 18,000 of those roles. I'm like, 150,000. Imagine the HR person that has to go through all those applications. They'll take them probably a couple of years, but at least they won't be short-staffed. They can't complain about being short-staffed, because that just shows you like how many people are looking for jobs right now. That ICE got 150,000 applications. I'm gonna make another video about people applying for jobs, and they're putting in 3,000 to 5,000 applications and still barely getting interviews. They're not even getting hired. They're just getting interviews or not getting any interviews. So it just kind of shows you, if that is happening with the employment, people cannot afford to go out and keep spending money at these restaurants, and the restaurants are suffering. And you're going to see a lot of abandoned commercial real estate and buildings coming up in the future if this continues at the pace it's continuing at. I want you to drop in the comments below if you stop eating out or just cut back. How has that improved your finances? What are you noticing in your own area and community as far as restaurants being packed or full? And also, are you able to get a job or not in the restaurant business if you need a second job or looking for work? I know a lot of people are telling me, I got a college education, a PhD, a master's, whatever. I can't find a job. And I've applied to restaurants, and they won't hire me either. And like I said, I remember growing up, and there was plenty of restaurants. I went to college and paid, got through most of my young life working in restaurants. So I never was without a job in the restaurant business. But today there's hardly no jobs in the restaurant business. So that just goes to show you what's going on. Also, I forgot to tell y'all, McDonald's CEO, I totally forgot about this. McDonald's CEO even said there was a problem with the job market as well. And you guys need to look into that, because that's kind of telling you, he's kind of saying like, yeah, there's an issue, and I know when Chase, does their job reports, and Walmart and McDonald's, certain places like that, they said Home Depot too. If Home Depot makes an announcement about the job report, or how like if lumber goes up, lumber goes down, that tells you the strength of the economy as well. But also tipping has gotten out of control too. Like everywhere you go, people are asking for a tip. And I'm a big tipper. I'm the kind of person, I come from a service industry back in the day before I went into corporate America. So I'm real big on tipping. Like I'm like 20% plus, I even tip my Starbucks people, like my regular Starbucks I go to. The whole staff, not the people working that shift that when I walk in, they, usually will tell me, because I'm a regular, they know me. But they'll usually tell me who all the employees are. And let's say they have 17 employees. I'll give them all thank you for making my coffee. It really makes my day cards, thank you cards. And I will put money into like a big tip into that. And I'll give it to all the staff. And I've done that to several locations of Starbucks over the years at different locations, because as I have traveled or moved around, I had to find my new, like kind of like I call it my Starbucks home, like where I would go get a coffee, do my work at, and then they get to know me because I'm there every day. And so once I get to know everybody, they get to know everybody's name. Eventually, I give them their thank you card. But what I'm saying about that is, everybody wants to tip, and I do believe in tipping, but I think at this point we got to kind of cut back on the tipping a little bit. Not cut back, but just not cut back if we're at a full service restaurant. I feel like that was always the place that we tipped growing up in our country. But there's other places where, Uber drivers and Lyft drivers need tip. DoorDash needs tip. I believe in tipping them DoorDash people. They're going to take your food back. DoorDash or Uber people may take or eat your food if you don't tip them. DoorDash, Uber wants tips. The hairstylist wants tips. The nail salon lady wants a tip. I can't think of takeout. You go up to a takeout counter, they want a tip. You go through a drive-thru, they want a tip. You go to stay at a hotel, the people carrying your bags want a tip. Taxi drivers want a tip. Everybody, it's just a tipping society where everywhere you go, there's a tip jar out. Somebody's asking for a tip. And I want to be able to help and support, especially young people or college people. I want to be able to give them a tip. But when I look back, I've given out 10,000 plus a year in tips, like a lot of tips. So I realized, the tipping can really hurt your finances, because on top of you going out spending all this money on food and coffee, you're almost like spending a quarter of that a month or when you go out in just tips too. Some places are just adding automatic gratuity into your service nowadays as well. So the tipping has gotten out of control. The inflation has gotten out of control. The cost of goods, everything has gotten out of control. And at this point, unless you're at that 20% of the population that just has a 250 plus K or 300K income, and that's not even in California or New York. I'm talking about in everywhere but Seattle, California, New York, and Miami probably, because those cities, that's not a lot of money. It sounds like a lot of money to most of you guys, especially if you've never made it, but I've made over six figures. It's not a lot of money after they tax half of it, or over 30-40% of your income. But in the lower cost cities, unless you make that much money, you really need to start cutting back, because the jobs are going away. Everything's going up, and you gotta start cooking at home again. And you gotta start cutting back and saving, investing your money and building something for yourself, build an extra income stream. Because if you're not building an extra income stream and you lose that job, and there's not even a McDonald's job that's gonna hire you, you're gonna be really screwed. So guys, I think that's enough for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment below. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. That's the only way you're gonna know when I drop another video. You gotta hit that bell notification, and it's gonna alert you that I dropped another video. So I'm gonna be making some more content for you guys, and I appreciate you guys watching the channel. It means a lot to me. Have a blessed day.